We are live.
All right.
I will let you introduce us while I pull up some graphics for the stream.
Welcome to the stream, everybody. We are going to be talking some free agency and some Dynasty impact here. We got another Friday night stream for you here, so we hope we got some of you guys out there watching, tuning in on this lovely Friday evening here. And it's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream today. Blake and I can definitely get yapping, so we actually just set a timer for 1 hour. So after 1 hour, we're going to try to wrap things up and get out of here. But we definitely wanted to cover some of these free agent transactions, signings, even some of the trades that have been happening. So, it hasn't been like the greatest free agency class, but there have definitely been some fun moves that certainly have an impact in fantasy and dynasty. And plus, just some of these unexpected trades that have happened have really kind of added to the intrigue around this whole free agency period. So been a lot of fun tracking it, and yeah, definitely wanted to dive in here and break down some of the dynasty impact here.
Yeah, let's talk about DK Metcalf versus that was a trade.
Yeah,
we already covered Gino last stream.
we think we did.
Yeah, we did. He was in the thumbnail.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
So we definitely did. Yeah, DK Metcalf gets traded to, obviously everyone knows, the Steelers. Was looking at his box score. I thought he had a pretty decent year. It was pretty awful.
Yeah.
It was
There was.
He started really good for basically the first 4 weeks. There was a dud in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make it so you can see my screen, Dan, here.
Okay.
Screen share. But man, that he was not good. he was really not good. So yeah, I don't know. This is not a great landing spot. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers could give him a nice bump. I don't think anything special of Rodgers, but he could still get the ball in his receivers' hands, like we saw with with the Jets receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of I think if anything, this isn't a good thing for DK, but it could be not an awful thing. It's pretty neutral to me. Slight negative. What do you think about it, Dan?
The only thing I'm wondering about, and this is something I heard discussed in a YouTube video that I watched, I forget which channel, but they were talking about the possibility of does this mean that George Pickens could get traded? Because they're kind of similar receivers, not exactly the same, but they're both good down the field, pretty good contested catch. So it's could this be an indication that they're looking to move George Pickens? Because I believe George Pickens is going into the final year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. He's going into year 4. Wait, was he a second rounder in the NFL draft? So I don't think the Steelers have a 5th-year option on him. So, and, there's also there were reports about, Pickens might be a hold-in, training camp coming up this offseason. And if the Steelers aren't wanting to pay Pickens, could they just be looking to trade him, get something for him, kind of cash out on him, and maybe DK Metcalf is their new number 1 receiver? And so that would be a lot more interesting. So actually, maybe could it be kind of I don't know, could it be a sneaky buy low opportunity on DK Metcalf for any managers that were disappointed with his performance last year and oh, now he's got to go to a crappy landing spot and compete with George Pickens? Maybe get a nice deal on him. And I'm not even really a DK guy, but I guess, I don't know, on the other hand, managers want that boost from oh, he changed teams. And so a lot of people just think automatically oh, there's going to be this new excitement with that. Well, so I don't know. I think it could be league dependent, manager dependent, but kind of hard to say. But I think you got to maybe just kind of get the pulse in each individual league if you're truly interested in buying him or selling him to kind of see what the rest of your league thinks of him.
Yeah, and then Rodgers signing won't help you buy him low,
right.
So it's I guess you could try to do it now. I'm not too big on it. I can see the intrigue, but Pickens probably a candidate to trade next year. I don't know why would they ever pay DK Metcalf $1 gazillion and then oh, we gotta go dump out Pickens right away. I think he could be a trade candidate. Sorry. He's a big time tag candidate, like
Oh,
franchise tag,
okay. I see.
like a T Higgins type.
Okay.
Because you can't let a player like George Pickens walk,
Right.
but you can't trade him because he's not under contract for 20, or this is the final year of his deal, right? So
You could trade
that'll
him,
be
right?
interesting. Well, like you can't trade him like after the season though, and like
Oh, yeah, right. So
they're
I'm thinking,
obviously going to walk in the season with him, so
why couldn't they trade him this offseason?
because it would make no sense because they just went and they paid DK Metcalf like $150 million to trade away a player on a rookie deal. Like it just I don't know that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna let him like walk out the door, I mean, I guess they got the franchise tag to your point, but like if they're not planning on paying him, it just seems like you could just get something now and just kind of like wash your hands of him, and like also just with like, I mean, I don't know like that much about like Pickens' like personality, but it seems like there's like something there that like maybe like
Oh,
rubs the Steelers
100%.
wrong.
Oh no, 100%.
Yeah.
It just the deal, the trade makes no sense at all. That you would pay up and pay all that money, and then get rid of your other receiver. And then now you're in the same problem you were before. You need more receivers. Like it just not like
Well,
next
what
season.
what if they got a second round pick in this draft and they can draft a receiver there?
I mean, they could. I don't know if you're getting that for Pickens. Like anytime there's a player on the move that's not like, you know, basically a guaranteed hit, like what we think of like a massive hit, you're always getting less for them. Like I don't know if you're getting.
Yeah, but you could get a good receiver in the second round. Maybe I mean, the Steelers.
Oh, you
are
could draft one, yeah.
A franchise that's confident in their ability to draft a
Yep.
wide receiver. It's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, and also like you might be assuming that Pittsburgh acquired DK Metcalf just to add weapons, right? Well, not necessarily. They may have specifically acquired him so like now they can get rid of Pickens.
They could. I would think. Yeah. I mean, that could be an interesting like in season if they always are competing though. So it's hard to imagine they trade them. But yeah. Anyways, Metcalf. I'm not too hot on it, but it'll be interesting to see how he plays out with if.
Yeah, but I guess the final word on DK Metcalf. I mean, I'm not like dying to trade for him, so it's not like I'm going to every league and knocking on the door of the DK Metcalf owner. But just like don't close your mind to it. I guess just kind of see like what opportunity might present itself. But if you do own DK Metcalf, it does and you just kind of want to get off of him, just like in general. Like, with him changing teams, it's not a bad time to see if there's any interest in your league to sell him. So, yeah, I guess I'm kind of neutral on it. But, like, I don't own any DK Metcalf. I'm probably not going out of my way to buy him. But I guess my only point is, like, don't, just have an open mind.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm still, I'm neutral as well. And,
Yeah.
I think he could still be pretty decent for fantasy. He just sucked last year, which is not good to see.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe if he's the number one guy in Pittsburgh, regardless of whether Pickens is there or not, although I think, I prefer Pickens as a talent, but regardless, if one way or another Metcalf becomes the number one guy there, maybe with a change of scenery, like, maybe he gets a little bit of, like, a resurgence. And I mean, we see that sometimes with, like, receivers or just players in general that change teams and just kind of get, like, a boost from that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, we got moved on to Sam Darnold. Signs a massive deal. Moving on from the Vikings to go to Seattle. Honestly, I love this landing spot because there was not really a landing spot I liked for Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only have like one Dynasty share now, and we own them together because I traded one off actually in a 4-point passing touchdown for a first. So I thought it was pretty good regardless of this contract. I got a first. I think I had to throw in like a late third, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
4-point passing touchdown. I was pretty like excited about that.
Oh yeah, that's a nice deal.
It's just a tough market in quarterback in leagues like that. If anyone plays in them, they know. And so, anyways, Sam Darnold. This is like, in my opinion, this is like a top end landing spot. Reunites with Clint Kubiak, in like from the Niners era there, the beginning of his like comeback story. So I think that's an awesome fit. What do you think?
Yeah, that's right. Kubiak's there, so I mean he did a nice job with the Saints, especially like early last season before they started getting hit with injuries. So yeah, I definitely think that aspect's exciting. Of course, on the other hand, like they moved DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett was cut. He was getting old anyways, but regardless, like it's
he
another
was
guy.
DK,
Yeah, so it's like, pretty much like all that's there is JSN, and you got the two running backs and Walker and Charbonnet.
And now you got Cup, though.
Oh, that's right. They did just sign Cup. So, yeah, we should talk about that as well. Maybe we'll just kind of cover the Seahawks here. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that for a second. So that helps. Although, I mean, you were kind of speculating that maybe Cup is washed just from the fact that like the Rams move on from Cup and then they sign a receiver that's like in Devontae
Yeah.
Adams, that's like just as old, basically.
Same age, you're paying him the same amount. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely thinking he potentially could be washed. Yes.
Yeah. So clearly they weren't opposed to having an old receiver.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, why did they,
Yeah.
want Adams but not want Cup?
Yeah.
And it's hard to come up with too many other conclusions other than just like they don't think he has it anymore. Because like, I mean, I don't think it's anything like off the field or personality or anything like that. I mean, Cup seems like a good dude. So
yeah.
So yeah, that does kind of feel like an indictment. So like, I was open to Cup still having something left in the tank.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I didn't watch him like a ton last season. He did kind of fade down the stretch. So I don't know. There are some red flags there. I don't know. I might be leaning more toward your opinion on that. But it's really not a bad thing for the Seahawks. I mean, getting
it's not a bad thing for Darnold.
Couldn't hurt,
Can't hurt Darnold. No.
Yeah, I mean, I guess unless he's on the field and he just completely sucks, and then they're not going to bench him because they paid him. So I guess in theory it could hurt, but I don't know. Like better than not getting better than like Jake Bobo or whoever else they have in there.
MVS.
That's right.
MVS.
Yeah. So like, I mean, hey, like MVS actually looked pretty decent. Is shockingly decent last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess like they're trying to like put some pieces around him now. We'll see what else they do. Noah Fant's still there, although I don't know if he's going to be on the roster week 1, just based on some speculation I've heard.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Although they do have A.J. Barner, who showed a couple flashes as a rookie, so maybe he replaces them. Maybe they draft a tight end in this great tight end class. But yeah, I mean, pieces are starting to come together at least a little bit in theory. That like, I don't think it's a bad landing spot. So yeah, I think it should be pretty solid. Like I think at worst is probably like a neutral. I mean, it's tough because like the Vikings were such a great situation for Darnold, but it was already kind of built into his price that like he probably wasn't coming back there.
Yes.
So based on all the other spots that he could have gone, this is probably as good a spot as you could have hoped for. So in that regard, it's probably positive for his dynasty value.
Yeah, definitely want to comment on that. Like the Darnold, if he was like the Vikings price was paid in, like he actually would be like definitely worth like a first or like very close to a first or late first, something like that, because like that is just an absolute gold mine.
Right.
That was obviously not priced on Darnold, where his price is.
Certainly.
His price was just wherever the hell he goes. People thought he was going to be a backup. Like I mean, it is his Twitter. Like it's just crazy out there, and it's like it's ridiculous. So the Seahawks, though, this is like an awesome landing spot. Like I think this is like he is like actually potentially the next Baker. I'm not like going out of my way to, knock people's door down to buy him, and I probably actually won't even end up getting him because I got my share for free, and I can ride it out. And I just have good quarterbacks mostly in other leagues. Although, if there's a league where I do need a quarterback, which there is, I'm actually pretty open to seeing what the price is.
Oh yeah, that's probably like one of the cheapest starting quarterbacks you can buy. That you could actually project forward potentially beyond like just this season.
Yeah, and he could definitely raise in price. There's a lot of room for him to raise in price. He can really. I think he could easily be a top 16 quarterback. That's kind of what you're looking for in a quarterback like Darnold. And then they could also bring in more weapons to the draft. Oh, they did say after all these cutting and trading receivers like that they're going to be a huge 12 personnel team with this new scheme. So I'd be surprised if Fant left for that reason. So Barner and Fant should be on the field a lot.
Interesting.
So he really only needs like a couple receivers potentially, because they've always been like a big 13 personnel team, or I believe I don't know. Anyways, so
because they use they use a lot of like Taysom Hill and Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau. Like all those guys played pretty good snaps last year for the Saints. So I think that does ring true.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the landing spot. I think Darnold, like, if you need a quarterback in the league, don't sleep on him, because you might actually get someone like happy about the chance to trade him.
Yeah.
I think like you shouldn't write him off.
So if you're in a 6-point passing touchdown league and you're in need of another quarterback, let's say like a second quarterback, like, what are you looking to send to Darnold? Like, are you hoping to, like, would you rather, like, send players than a pick, or are you fine just sending, like, your 26 first that you're thinking, projects, on the later side, hopefully?
I'd have to know a little bit more about the Darnold market because like that's
Yeah.
the best part. That's the most intriguing part about Darnold. You probably can find an easy way to not get him with to get him without a first.
Yeah.
If you can get him without a first, I think it's like a really big deal. You can
Yeah.
get your second a player.
Could you send, like, the 205 this year plus, like, your 26 second and get them?
Yeah,
Like,
I
that
would do
sounds
that.
pretty nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would do that, especially if I'm
Yeah.
contending. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, kind of play the game of, like, how can I get this guy without sending a first? And if you can
Yeah.
do that, then it's probably a slam dunk. As long as you're not giving up some really good player, obviously, in the package. But
yeah, no, exactly. And then we could. I mean, like Cup. Like we said it. He's probably washed, but I don't have much to say about Cup. It's a weird landing spot. They have JSN. Like I don't know who's gonna work in the slot. Maybe the fact that they're running 12 personnel. There's some weird things where you can have like two guys in the slot and like this I form and just I don't know. Maybe there's not really like a wide out and just it's a weird landing spot. I'm not too excited about it, but I don't think I own any Cup now. I think I sold it all off. I don't know if you own any.
I have one share of Cup, just that he's on an orphan, and so I'm kind of wondering, like, you kind of convinced me a bit with what you were saying about just the indictment on him with the Devontae Adams signing. So
Yeah.
I think I'm probably going to see, like, what I could sell him for. Just kind of, like, see what the market is, and if I can get something that's decent, like, I'd probably just err on the side of moving him. Because, like, if I don't have a lot of confidence in an old player and I can move him for something decent, like, why would I keep that player and just let him, like, go to zero? Like, makes no sense. So, like, what do you think I would need to move him just in a typical league? Like, you taking any second for him?
Probably.
Yeah.
I would be pretty happy with that. I would also move him for like a nice like sleeper player in third, like a reasonable sleeper player. I'm not talking like
okay. So give me an example of a nice sleeper player.
I'd have to go to our board here real quick.
Yeah.
Just to see the names.
Just like off the top of my head here, like Jalen Wright in a third. You moving him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would.
I'd do that easily. I mean, I wanted to write in this draft and Braylon and stuff like that, but Josh wasn't too big of a fan of them, so we didn't take him. But
what's like the lowest you would go? Like Jerome Ford in a third.
Yeah, I mean he's technically an RB1 right now.
That's part of the reason I drafted Ford in the startup because I got him pretty late, obviously, but. I'm not expecting him to be the RB1 in Cleveland, but what if the unexpected happens and the Browns don't draft a running back until like day 3, and then it's like competition, someone they draft in like round 4, round 5, or something like that. But like Ford probably goes into the season as like the starter on that team. Maybe it's not a great offense, a great team, but like you could do a lot worse in the whatever round I got him in. What was it, like 17th, 18th round, something like that? Yeah. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, no, I think I take Dowdle in a third. I'd probably take Thielen. I'd probably take Thielen in a third.
Okay.
Just because if Dowdle gets in and if an injury happens, like at least I can start Dowdle. I don't even know if I can start Cup, and it may sound like an overreaction. Like I'm maybe not even like that down bad on Cup. I'm just saying like it's a good way where you could get like more productive player and like a lottery pick. Because it's like what's the upside on Cup?
So you would take an intriguing handcuff plus like a third,
or or like veteran receiver also,
productive veteran like Adam Thielen, Keenan Allen, someone like that. Okay. I think that's fair. I mean, if that's all you can get and you just really
don't think
anything, it's a lot better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. If that's all you can get, I'm not just maybe that's not my first offers and stuff like that, but I'd be willing to take that. So what else do we got here? We got Justin Fields, who we have to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, for me, I probably think of him in because beyond Tua, and I'll put Bryce Young and Tua and AR kind of. I know that people don't have Bryce Young that low, but for me, that's like the bottom tier of like your corner. I don't know, but your cornerstone quarterbacks, and I don't know if that's the right word, but then you got now Darnold and Justin Fields lagging behind them. I think with honestly both those guys, Justin Fields and Sam Darnold, can kind of just be put in the same tier right now. I'd be looking to get these guys anyway without sending a first. Darnold, obviously, I think he could have like an actual successful career based off what we saw. Um, you know, with the Vikings and everything like that, like he might just be a good quarterback again. I'm not sure about that for Fields. I know he scores a lot of fantasy points though.
Yeah.
So Fields is kind of like the opposite of Darnold in some ways, where it's like I'd be trying to see if I don't have to send a first for him. And his last 2 seasons, he actually averaged 20.4 points and 20.5 points, which is solid. That's about low end QB1 numbers. Actually, I have like a chart where I could literally tell you exactly where that was because I was tracking the past few years of quarterback production. But anyways, what do you think, Dan, about?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the interesting question I was going to ask you before I kind of get into my full opinion. If you're a strong contender in a dynasty league and you need a quarterback, let's say you need a QB2 for your super flex spot, and whatever you can, whatever you're going to send, whether it's like 2 seconds or late first or whatever. But like, which quarterback would you rather have on a strong contender in Dynasty where you're actually going to start this person? Would you rather have Justin Fields or Sam Darnold?
Yeah, if I have like an actual championship roster, especially if the wheels are like just going to fall off, like I'm taking Fields 100%.
Yeah, and so that's basically my point, and I think we're on the exact same page with that. Like, neither of us know whether Fields is going to be a long-term starter in the NFL. I mean, I think we would both be a little skeptical of that, to say the least. But you never know. I mean, maybe he defies the odds and improves as a passer, and you never know. Like, I mean, crazier things have happened. So, like, I think there is that kind of like upside in there, just, even if it's just like a small chance. But really, I mean, at the minimum, you're probably getting like a ultra productive starter for your super flex spot for the next year, and maybe even for 2 years, because he did sign the 2-year contract. I don't know all the details in terms of like, could the Jets get out of that, or even if they couldn't, like $20 million a year isn't that crazy for a QB anymore these days. So it's like, if Fields like isn't great from a real life perspective in year one with the Jets, then maybe they draft a quarterback, and maybe that quarterback is playing week 1 of 2026 or a few weeks in, or who knows? I mean, I don't know. Like, could the Jets even draft a quarterback even though they took Fields? You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't think that'll happen. But my point is, like, you're not guaranteed 2 years of production, but like, I think you can like safely kind of like, hope for like 1 to 2 years of like really good production.
Yeah.
I mean, he scores crazy fantasy points when he's a NFL starting quarterback and he's on the field, just with the rushing. He does just enough as a passer. So yeah, I love it. I mean, you're basically getting like kind of like a poor man's like Lamar Jackson or whatever. So yeah, I'll take that for my super flex spot. And yeah, I mean, it's an awesome guy to have if you're a contender.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a perfect guy where if the viewers won't understand the reference, but you'll have all these guys in your leagues, but it's like a fresh cash team. You're stuck with like a bunch of veterans. You can't really make any trades, or you don't want to, and you're just riding it until you have until you're dead. I mean, Fields is like a really good candidate for a guy you can get for without a first. I'd be hesitant easily to send a first. I think most would, especially just looking at like what you could just go and get a different quarterback once you put a first on the table.
Yeah,
I mean, it probably doesn't cost like that much more, but anyways, Fields.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, but like, you never know what options you have in any given dynasty league.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? Like, maybe like no one's moving like those top tier QBs that you'd rather have over Fields. So like, if that's the case, like I really wouldn't have an issue sending like the 112 for him, sending my late projected 26 first. And honestly, that would probably even be my preference over the 112, just because like I do think this is a pretty good class, especially for like tight end premium leagues. Certainly for any leagues that, where running backs are valued. So, and I do think it's pretty deep at the top where like, I think at least into like the 201, maybe even 202, you're getting like a pretty like premium player there is kind of what my expectation is.
Yep.
So honestly, like, I think I would rather, if I'm confident in my team and I'm going to be a contender, I think I would rather send my late projected 26 first for Fields I would have no hesitation doing that, and I even feel more comfortable doing that than sending my 112 this year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree about the 25 part. Well, I was saying, here's what good way to get Fields. If you're planning on drafting Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Darsh, just avoid them. Just go get Justin Fields.
Just take Fields,
there's no guarantee those guys are ever even real starters.
If you end up not contending by mid-season or whatever, then just trade him. You can probably basically get what you paid for him. Who knows? Maybe even more if he's crushing it. And then you either made a profit or at worst probably broke even.
Yeah.
So I really don't see that much risk in it. I mean, obviously the longer you hold Fields, the more risk there is because you could just get left holding the bag and he gets benched or they draft a quarterback and then he's nothing and he goes back to just being kind of basically what he was prior to getting signed, which is just kind of this intriguing upside, high upside backup if he ever gets a shot again, so
you're only risking something if you're putting a first on the table. If you're not putting a first on the table, you're not risking anything with Fields. Honestly,
but even if you do put a first on the table, you can always get that back if you end up not contending. So I don't know if there's as much risk in acquiring him as it might seem on the surface.
Yeah. I mean, once you're in there and points are being scored, things get weird. So yeah, as long as he is producing like he has, I charted the top 24 quarterback performances from the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Kind of like a spreadsheet here, and so his average, his points in the last 2 years. Now this past season was, a tiny sample size, but he would be floating around QB. Right in between QB 12 to QB 15 every year. It's staggered. It's so he's gonna be his last 2 seasons he's been on pace for being a low end to high end QB2 there, a low end.
Yeah.
QB1.
Also, I just heard an absurd stat about Justin Fields. I wish I had written it down and had the exact stat. So I'm gonna have to kind of just kind of ballpark it from what I remember. But it was basically in his last, actually it may have been 24 starts. It was something like that. Yeah. I think it was his last 24 starts.
It'll include that 22 season.
Yeah. In his last 24 starts, I believe the stat was that he has finished as a top 5 week, quarterback in the week, 25% of the time or something absurd like that. So that's the kind of production you're getting with Fields. It was something like that. I'll check on that at some point. Maybe I'll update you guys next live stream or whatever, but it was something absurd like that.
It sounds right because it'll have his 22 season where he went just because he was hurt this year in 2023 and obviously didn't really play 2024. So yeah, he'll have all these, the 48. So yeah, that sounds about right. Then
just the last thing I want to say about Fields is I love the fact that the Jets go out and sign this guy day one of free agency. They really wanted him. So, I love that there's, a belief in him. It's a brand new coaching staff. Obviously, they're going to want this guy to succeed. They're going to want to surround him with weapons. Yeah. I mean, their legacy as coaches, or at least, for the Jets, is going to be tied to how Justin Fields does to an extent. So, I just love the investment that this new Jets regime is going to have in him, that they wanted him. I think that's a really good sign. So, I think they're going to be very motivated for Fields to succeed. And I think they're going to try their best to put a lot around him and just put him in position to do what he does best. And I think we know what Fields is at this point. So I have to imagine anyone, throwing $40 million at him knows what he can and can't do and is going to want to put him in a position to succeed. So I think that just gives me some additional optimism about him.
Yeah, I think it's a good landing spot, and I actually like what the Jets did. If I was a Jets fan, I'd be pretty happy with them, moving on from Rodgers and just, I want to be as far away from Rodgers as possible. Maybe we should talk about Rodgers quick because, we were talking about DK, and it sounds like he's gonna sign with honestly just the Steelers. I know that there's Vikings, but it's Aaron Rodgers is waiting on the Vikings decision head. That's the key word. It's not. There's ever been anything about the Vikings are the ones wait. No. So I know that there is conflicting reports, which is a big shocker to me. Some real sources, Rossini was saying that Aaron's interested, and the Vikings are maybe interested, whereas Schefter and I think it was Rappaport or someone else is just saying none of it makes any sense, which I completely agree with. The way the Vikings do their business, the way that they've built their team, it makes zero sense to bring, basically the last guy quarterback you want in your like locker room if you have a young,
Yeah.
talented first round quarterback. So I prefer to stay far away from him. I think he's going to be with the Steelers or at
Yeah.
worst the Giants.
And plus, like, we know how Rodgers was when they drafted
Yeah.
Jordan Love, and it was the same way like Brett Favre was when they drafted Aaron Rodgers. So, like, yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers seems like the furthest thing from like a mentor that's gonna, take the young JJ McCarthy, put his shoulder around him, and like that ain't gonna happen. So, like, that sounds like an absolutely awful fit to me. Like, I don't even know why the Vikings are considering that. So yeah, that's just weird. I think he'll end up on the Steelers. If not, like maybe he has to settle for the Giants, but like probably one of those two teams. Yeah, I guess like the Steelers would be fine. I guess even the Giants wouldn't be terrible.
I wouldn't mind either.
Like, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the Steelers would be fun if he gets to throw to both like Pickens and DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's a fun fit. Yeah.
Yeah. You got Freiermuth to, dump it off to, as well as Jalen Warren out of the backfield. So yeah, you could kind of talk me into that. I think you could have like one last hurrah, like, I think you'd have like a solid fantasy season for the Steelers.
Yeah, like just, can he be the QB 18? That's what I'm looking for. And Josh and I, we went ahead and we took him as our QB3.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah,
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And I would have wanted to wait on Rodgers. His ADP was so low down there, but maybe it's because there was a retirement potential, and we were just like, someone took Russell Wilson, and I would have been fine taking Russell Wilson ahead of him, I guess, if I knew he was going to play on the Giants or something. But I was like, yeah, hey, you know what? I can see it. Steelers, Rodgers.
Yeah.
What was it, round 14 or 15 or something?
Yeah.
What's there to lose? So,
I thought that was a fine pick.
I think it's a solid landing spot if he goes to Steelers. Nothing special. We know what Rodgers is.
Speaking of Steelers, let's talk about Najee Harris, because that's a guy I took in our startup draft. I even traded up to get him. It's the only trade up I made of the entire startup draft, which is bizarre because like I am not a Najee Harris guy. So like it's just a bizarre thing that's like the one guy I need to have Najee Harris. But I was trying to take advantage because like the news just broke on him. And we were like right at the spot where it seemed to like make sense to take him. I needed an RB2. And so it's just kind of like, let me just go and get this guy. I just love the landing spot with the Chargers. And I was kind of like misled thinking like he had signed this contract, upwards of $9 million. And like, oh man, they sign him day one of free agency. They throw $9 million at him. He's going to be the workhorse for the Chargers, that, Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman offense. Like, I just like, I need to have this guy. Like, I could just see him having a really great season, even if he's not like, the most amazing, explosive, like real life running back. But like, he's gotten a workload everywhere he's been, whether it's Alabama or Pittsburgh. So I'm just like, what? This just sounds awesome to me. So had to have him, traded up. I could have taken like the rookie, what was it, like 207 or something like that at the time.
Yeah, I was trying to see that.
So basically, the main thing I traded was like I had to give up a third to like move up a few spots, but I got essentially like Najee and a future fourth kickback. So basically, I traded like the 207 plus a future third for Najee plus a future fourth. So I don't know if it sounds like the greatest deal in the world. I have a little bit of regret about it because subsequently to doing that trade, you pointed out to me like the next day, as more details came out, that like, what was it, like only like $5 million of the contract's guaranteed. The rest is like all incentives. And so I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So I don't feel amazing at the moment. Like they could still draft a running back early. So there's definitely some risk there. I may try to see if I can like flip them for roughly what I paid. But we'll see. Like, I don't hate it if I'm stuck with them. Like, I mean, based on what the Harbaugh and the Chargers did last year, they just, like, they really seem to enjoy just going cheap at, ultra cheap at running back. So maybe that's just kind of like their thing. So, like, I could see Najee being the workhorse, getting the same kind of, like, usual, like, Pittsburgh workload.
Yeah.
And, I think we would see the best of Najee on Pittsburgh, on the Chargers, if he really gets that chance to kind of be that same bell cow. I think he can score a lot of touchdowns. Maybe even catches like a few more passes than he has in recent years in Pittsburgh. He was such a. I mean, how many catches did Najee have as a rookie in Pittsburgh? It was something
like 90
ridiculous.
Or something.
90 or something like that. So
74.
I don't know if he'll get there, but like maybe if I can dream for a second, like maybe there's some scenario where he's like the workhorse for the Chargers and catches like 50, 60 passes. I mean, that would be amazing, and scores like 12 touchdowns or something like that. Let me dream here for a moment, but like I don't hate it. Like if I'm stuck with him, I really don't hate it. There's some risk with the draft, But yeah, I do have some mixed feelings hearing
Yeah.
about the contract. So what are your thoughts?
Well, actually, I got two thoughts because one is like your starter perspective. Two is an actual owning. For people listening out there, they probably just owned them if they
Yeah,
do
right.
have them. They
Yeah.
didn't draft them this offseason
Yeah.
probably. I mean, hey, by the way, notice he's never not been an RB2. So yeah,
I mean,
there's
dude, he's like the surest thing in fantasy
Yeah.
football for 1,000 yards. Like 4 years in the NFL, 4,000-yard rushing season. So it's like we got him a little credit for that,
Yeah.
right?
If you remove like 5, like it wouldn't be true, but it would feel like 5 points per game. At least like if you remove 5 points per game, he's like the Chris Olave running backs, which it probably is just like the exact Chris Olave running backs. But I've owned him the last couple of years, and it's like, oh god, like I gotta throw Najee in. Like this is where I'm at. But the thing is, you're like, okay, like it's bye weeks and stuff. Like I know he's gonna get touches, but it's like, am I getting more than 5 points or 9 points? Like most of the time, the answer is just like you're getting like 10, 11, 9.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, isn't it like semi-impressive? Like, even if his efficiency isn't great, isn't it semi-impressive that, like, on a kind of a basically crappy offense the past several years on the Steelers with, like, Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph and, whoever else, Duck Hodges or, whoever they've had at QB, that just every season he's, like, ran for 1,000 yards. And it's like, imagine him in actually like a good offense with like a good quarterback, a good offensive line, like good coaching. Like I think if he gets the opportunity to have that same workload, we're truly going to see the best from him. And like I could see him having like a J.K. Dobbins plus kind of season. Like Dobbins was like really good for them last year, so it's like why couldn't Najee do that? I mean, like did anyone think? I mean, how many people thought like J.K. Dobbins was really going to be like as good as he was on the Chargers? Like people just kind of thought he was washed and like so many injuries that had accumulated with him. But Najee is like the picture of health. He like never misses a game. Like he could be sneaky good if if he doesn't have too much competition and he's like the guy there this year.
Yeah, if they don't bring in any competitions, I agree. If they do bring in like remotely, top 3. Here's the thing too. What's gonna end up happening? I think the prediction for all this drafting. I mean, at least in my opinion, I think some of these third round potential running backs or even like these day 2 running back projections, they're all just going to slip into day 3 because there's just so many damn running backs. And like GMs, I got to assume are smart and they know positional availability. Like they know they can go focus on other positions. They'll let like all the million running backs fall to the to the day 3. And then what's going to happen is like the Chargers take a running back because they're smart on day 3, and then people are going to go, oh, they didn't draft a running back in day 2. They didn't, but it was like a day 2 projected guy, and then all of a sudden...
Here's the thing, like to me that works in Najee's favor because then it's like, okay, yeah, you can say this guy's a pretty good running back and maybe he seems more talented than Najee and whatever, and you think he should win the job, but like look what happened to Kamani Vidal last year. I mean, I think Vidal's like pretty damn talented, and like he couldn't even like barely sniff the field. So it's like I could see that same thing happening where it's just like, yeah, they draft an intriguing talent and like round 4, round 5, something like that, but then like the guy's a rookie and like he just gets like the Kamani Vidal treatment. So like I think that works in Najee's favor personally. What do you think?
The Vidal one's like a bit of a stretch because like, I mean, he had some good numbers, but like that was also in a really weak class. So like, if he was in this class, like, I mean, who knows if he's even like drafted.
How about just the eye test? I mean, anytime you saw Vidal play, whether it was like the preseason or his limited snaps in the regular season, he always looked like really good.
I mean, I was buying in, like, I don't even think I ended up having a share by the end of the season, but I mean, he caught that wheel pass. Like, I remember that play. I don't remember any other play from him, to be honest.
Don't you remember us talking about him like in preseason last year? Okay, I know it's preseason.
He looked like Austin Eckler, is what I remember in the training camp videos. He looked
awesome. He was like weaving, through like he had great vision, great cutback ability, great quickness. Like he looked like the real deal to me. I mean, like
I'm thinking back on it though. We never heard anything about Kamani. Like I always remember being like, what is going on? Like, there was no training camp reports ever on Vidal. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the Chargers beat reporters. It's like they don't even have any.
There were people that really liked him. Like even just like coming in the draft. Like I remember like Ron Stewart had him like really high in his running back rankings. Even when he got the bad draft capital, he still had him as like I want to say like top 7, 8 running back, something like that. And I remember that Ron said that like if he had actually gotten like a little better draft capital, like I think he would have been the top 5 running back in the class. Okay, maybe a weak class, but still. So it's like, I mean, there were people that liked his talent.
They might. I don't know. I don't know if Vidal, like all around draft, like he wasn't even on my radar when the draft had happened. Like, but so I really can't say.
I mean, you ended up getting on board and taking some shares of him, and like you were drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. Come on,
I actually never drafted him. I only got him for Fab.
Okay, but you were lucky that you got him as like a drafted free agent because like it was in drafts where like it was before the hype started. Once the hype started, it got out of control, and obviously you were out.
He was like a good 4th round pick, but like that was where I couldn't draft him, because then he turned into a 3rd round pick, and then I was like, I just can't do it. But exactly. I thought the only reason I was in though was because he was on the Chargers. That's like, you know what I mean? Like it had nothing really to do with.
All right, so let's make this actionable with Najee Harris. You're probably not buying him because like the owner's going to want a lot because he landed on the Chargers, and But if you own him, like, are you trying to move him, and what are you trying to get for him?
If you own him, like this is like maybe you haven't owned Najee in Dynasty. I'm telling you, if you own Najee in Dynasty, if you can get a second for him right now, especially if it's like a mid-second, you go do it. Like you 100% do it. You said you could have got 2 of 7.
That hurts to hear. I know it's probably true.
It is true. Trust me. I own Najee Harris. I did kind of get a second for him. Not really. I had to pay to get the mid-second for him, and I was just like, yeah, okay, you can have him. Trust me, he's. But the thing is, you're in a startup. He's like your RB2. It's reasonable. You just want a guy that can get some touches. If that's what you need, if you just need a guy, a body, he's always available. Yeah, I agree. I think it's like I'm kind of just really am neutral on Najee because I don't think he's gonna blow the world away. I think he'll probably finish as maybe the RB24 is reasonable if they don't get a guy early, in that range 20 to 24. If he falls in the end zone more, he'll finish higher.
I'm probably just drinking the Kool-Aid because I own him, and obviously I have, incentive now for him to be good. But like, I am feeling more positive than negative for whatever that's worth. But I do have a little regret about what I paid for him and trading up and everything like that. So that probably was a mistake. But my one question is, how different is your opinion right now if that contract was fully guaranteed? It was like $9.25 million or whatever it was, fully guaranteed. They got him day one of free agency. That's a lot for a running back these days in free agencies. So would your opinion be different right now?
Oh, if it was like if they actually paid him, like $10 million. I mean, then that would say, hey, maybe we're not drafting a running back. He barely got paid more than Elijah
That makes me feel a little better because like at least my process wasn't bad. I guess I've learned the lesson that like I need to read the fine print on these contracts before just thinking like, oh man, $9 million contract, like. Let me trade up for Najee now. So I guess that was the lesson to learn. But, at least, under the assumption that was like a real contract, I don't think it was a bad move at the time. But I just need to be more careful with those details in the future.
I think everyone had them on their board. I mean, Josh, you really wanted them. I really didn't even get enough time to process. Because I was kind of doing something and I saw the deal and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's a good landing spot.
I mean, I don't even know if the details were available at that time.
Probably not.
But
no.
I was just trying to get this done quickly before everyone else in the startup draft realized that this news broke, and I was really trying to beat everyone to the punch. So I guess it ended up biting me in the behind a bit. But what are you gonna do? I still kind of feel positive, but we'll see if I can get back what I paid. I'll probably do it.
If I'm in your position, I understand because you just drafted him. You kind of got to drink the Kool-Aid a bit, and I don't even think he's actually going to be that bad. That's the thing. He is what he is. We know what Najee Harris is.
I think I could end up getting lucky with this. So, hey, by the way, I'm on the clock. So,
okay.
I mean, I don't have to make the pick now, but it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
no. Let's do a pick on.
You want to do a pick on the clock here?
You do your pick on the clock here, or maybe talk us through it, whatever you're thinking.
Well, hey, Kamani Vidal is still sitting there, and funny story, which I texted you. I hit draft on Kamani Vidal with my last pick, and I got an error message. It said API error or something like that, and I honestly took it as a sign. I'm like, you know what, I feel like that's the universe trying to tell me something. And so I took Luke Schoonmaker instead because it's 2 PPR for tight ends. And I'm glad. I feel like that was the better pick. Especially
I think so. 100% that was a better pick.
But I'm tempted to take Vidal here. The question is, what's the best rookie pick left? Let me pull up that
it's
Bob Harmon thing.
It's 4-2, isn't it?
Is it 4-2?
Well, we just took the 4-1. I can't see the picks 12 and
Here, I'm pulling it up right now.
I can't see the last guy what he picked. It's
Oh wow, it would be 4-2. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not bad there.
Yeah, I'm taking 4-2 all day in my opinion, but
Yeah,
there's no one here I'd pay a fourth for. Is all I'm
I
looking at.
probably should.
There is one player that I think is like draftable over this for sure.
Yeah.
Like regardless of what your team's like.
Mhm.
But he could be blown up by the draft, of course. So
Yeah, let me just look at my queue here. Yeah, there's no one else I'm like really like dying to draft.
Yeah.
I mean, Miles Sanders just signed with the Cowboys, but like I don't even know how much it's for. I'm assuming it's probably like $3 million or something like that. So it's like I don't expect him to be the starter, but
Yeah.
you never know. I guess you could kind of use the Jerome Ford argument a little bit. I think De'Ami Brown's kind of interesting. Signing with the Jaguars. I mean, that seems like about as good a landing spot as you could hope for. So I wouldn't hate that. I don't know if Deontay Johnson is going to like be given a chance again. I mean, he just seems to have turned into Antonio Brown. Is that
no, I owned him in a league, and someone sent me a fourth for him, and I regret it now. I wish I took the fourth for him. I don't think we're seeing any.
Yeah, I think it's probably either the 402 Vidal. Yeah, De'Ami Brown or Miles Sanders here for me.
And there's no, if you had Miles Sanders in the league and someone offered you the 402, would you not like literally break your screen accepting that? Yeah. I would be laughing if someone sent me the 412 for a player like that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the upside, like if somehow he ends up being like the starter for the Cowboys. I know it's so remote of a chance.
Well, he catches balls and I get it.
Yeah. Vidal's really only interesting if he's like the true handcuff to Najee. Yeah. What are the odds of that? Like they're gonna draft a running back somewhere, and odds are he'll probably surpass Vidal.
Yeah. My thing with Vidal was I could drink the Kool-Aid, in season, and he was way too hard to get his hands on for what was going on, so I never ended up getting any more. And I was like, well, this is he's Larry Roundtree. If he doesn't do it year one, he literally turns into Larry Roundtree, and look where he is. We never heard from him again since his rookie season.
Hey, do you want to go back to the startup so we can see the pick live here?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
All right, we are going with Steven Gostkowski. Wait.
Oh boy. It's not showing.
Oh wait. I hit the Q rather than the draft.
Yeah.
Boom, there we go.
I think it's a good pick. There's not a lot of guys here I'd pay a fourth for.
Yeah, so obviously anyone new to Dynasty, the kickers represent the rookie pick, so Gostkowski represents the rookie 402. Yeah, that seemed like a pretty easy pick there, so that was pretty easy.
I'm shocked no one's here's the thing, I understand why no one's taking rookie picks, because even when we're coming around, we're like, oh man, okay, we like Shipley, he's probably one of the only potential handcuffs here, and he's a year two guy. We need Mac Jones. Like, we had Purdy. That's an awesome fit with Niners to get a handcuff.
Yeah, I mean, I even talked myself into Alec Pierce because I need a little receiver help, and I think my team's going to contend. So I think it was like the rookie 310 was on the board there, and I'm just like, you know what? I really need some receiver help. Like, just give me like Alec Pierce, who I know is like pretty good and like can at least give me some spike week potential, rather than like who knows what I'm getting at the 310, and then I got to like wait for him to develop. I mean, I know I could always like trade the pick, but like honestly, I'd probably be trying to trade the pick into like an Alec Pierce type, So it's just like give me Alec Pierce.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I definitely had him on my board. We weren't really going to take him unless he like maybe fell to 20 or 21. Which I don't think we have a 21, but Josh wasn't too big a fan of him, but I see exactly why you took him. Thielen, we just took over because, hey, it's Thielen. What do we got to lose?
He's been amazing the past 2 years. I can't blame you there.
What do we got to lose? We'll do a whole thing on the startup, but we can go back. I think really the only last notable free agent thing is Evan Ingram, which, by the way, we got in this draft in the 11-5 and in 2 PPR tight ends. So, thanks to your Najee trade up, I personally I thought in the 10th if Ingram was like, I think he was visiting with Denver, but like if there's any hints of like him signing with Denver, like he was like a steal in the 10th. He somehow made it around to us in the 11th, and I was like, honestly, where's he gonna sign? He's gonna sign with Denver. The only place I could think else that he would want to sign is the Chargers. And funny enough, I didn't even hear a rumor about that. He just went and visited them, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that too. I can't believe he's actually taking his time. I love the landing spot. He put a tweet up of like the Joker, maybe hinting at his role.
Oh, nice.
So that's good to see.
He had his role there, yeah, the
Yeah.
Joker role that Sean Payton likes to use in his offense.
So I mean that's good to see. I mean this is like maybe the one scenario really where it's like I liked him then moving off the Jaguars. I didn't like it initially,
Yeah.
but yeah
Yeah, I mean
I love it.
he's been a stud in fantasy the
Yeah.
past few years, and always kind of like underrated. And I mean, he's a guy that's been like a league winner at times, getting hot like late in the season.
Yeah.
And especially with these like big tight end premium leagues where you're getting like 2 PPR for tight ends. Like he's a guy that can really go off and get a lot of catches, kind of in that same category as like a David Njoku. And so, yeah, I really like him. Nice landing spot with the Broncos. He should be able to command targets there. And I got to think he's got another couple good years left. So I like it. Like I'm on board. Definitely really interesting guy to get in tight end premium leagues. And
that's where he thrives. He's not about the touchdowns. He's literally his career high was his rookie season at 6, and he still somehow finishes the tight end 2 and 5.
So let's say in
snags balls.
Just for fun in a 2 PPR, like what are you paying for him? Well, actually, what rookie pick was available when you took Evan Ingram? Do you know that?
Let's take a look.
And that kind of answers the question of like, what would you pay for him?
So you said Najee was the 2.7, so we would have had to take the 2.08, and to me, I think I remember doing that, and I'm like, there's no way you could trade the 2.8 for Evan Ingram on the Broncos.
In a 2 PPR, not
PPR.
a chance. So I think that was great value there.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
He was definitely high on my board as well. So I thought that was a great pick.
Yeah, he was not really a guy we ever planned on picking. Like honestly, like we had him in the queue and stuff, but yeah, we just never thought he'd be there. And by the way, the viewers that are here, like if you're ever join a 2 PPR, you haven't played in one, and you're doing a startup. Like, do not sleep on tight ends. You can literally flex them in every single flex spot ever. Like, they deserve, like, a pretty big bump. It doesn't mean you need to draft the best ones. It just means that, like, Evan Ingram, you saw, like, he will score a gazillion points, like, if he has his 23. He was a tight end 22 in 2023. I mean, 114 catches. That is, absurd. Guys like, we had our pick. Malik Willis, okay. Back up. But who was our good tight end? Njoku, and we got him too, like another PPR scam.
I mean, and the thing is, like, I mean, this startup draft was weird because, like, tight ends were, like, slipping down the board, like, a lot more than we expected. And so, like, we were able to kind of take advantage of that by, like, still kind of loading up at other positions, but then still drafting these guys. Like, I got Jonnu Smith, and like Dallas Goedert and Chico Okonkwo in like pretty late rounds, and like I'm stoked with those guys in a 2 PPR format. So it kind of feels like we beat the system there, but you kind of have to like, I mean, it's hard to just give like a one size fits all advice. I mean, like
there's a lot of ways you can.
So I would say like don't be afraid to take some of these tight ends earlier than usual, but like. At the same time, like if your draft is kind of fading them and you can kind of have your cake and eat it too, like, and you're okay having some of these like, non-elite guys, but could be absolute studs in your flex, like that's not a bad way to go at all for sure.
I like literally my original plan was like if they're going too early, we're going, like we didn't know Gesicki at the time, but like I had some stats on Gesicki as like a really late guy. It was like Gesicki, Henry, Ertz, just give me all those guys.
Yeah, Hunter Henry. Yeah. I wanted Gesicki so bad. I was so pissed when Andrew like reached like 5-6 rounds to get him. Like,
exactly. I just don't think it was, like in the format. I think it's a fine pick. What I was surprised, what I was surprised is he took him over Hunter Henry, who by the way I was matching him up with Drake Mays when Drake May got his starts.
Yeah.
He started heating up with Drake May. By the way, who do you think scored more points in this format? Now I have to adjust. I adjusted because like he got hurt like 2 games, and like one of them like he scored no points in, and just like I just kind of averaged the snaps out to eliminate a game just because like it like we just can't count it. I'm not gonna count it. Who scored more points?
Hunter Henry scored more points than Drake May in this format.
No. I was gonna say Hunter Henry or Ladd McConkey.
Oh God! So I'm assuming you're going to tell me somehow it was Hunter Henry.
It was Ladd McConkey, but by 0.1 point.
Okay.
I may have rounded up from 14.9.
You did fix the math a little bit there.
I did, but it was like he played like 40% of snaps on the game or 40 point something, and
We did
then
get hurt in the game.
he got hurt in the game, but then he also got like hurt in another game, and then
Okay.
but then he played the next week. So I just averaged it out because he got no catches in the game, and he
Okay.
could have, who knows what could have happened.
Okay, fair enough.
So I just eliminated it. I just
Yeah.
scrubbed it. It wasn't a full game.
Yeah, all right,
you know.
fair enough. But
So-
yeah, that is pretty interesting. So I mean, that gives you an idea of the
Yeah.
impact of the 2 PPR for tight ends.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's gonna happen again, but I'm like, dude. I mean, can you imagine if you're getting the similar flex play of Hunter Henry in the 16th round? Like, compared to the rookie.
Yeah, I mean, week one of this season in this
Yeah.
league, like I'm probably going to be starting
Yeah.
like all of Jonnu as my tight end, and then 2 of my flex spots week one are probably going to be Dallas Goedert and Chico Conquo, and like I'm excited to have those guys.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And like same with us. I think we'll have probably 3 to 4 tight ends in our starting lineup. It's extremely high floor, high ceiling. I mean, there's just you need like 3 catches to have a good week. Really, like there's not. I have like a all right week. And I noticed other teams. I won't pull them all up, but like they did not care about tight ends. We have a team that only has likely an Eric All. Eric All is not playing this season.
Good lord.
We have a team that has only Kyle Pitts. We have a team I think that still doesn't have a tight end, but if they did, it's like it's a dirt bag. If so, it's like Michael Mayer or something like that. You know
That's
what I mean?
crazy. I mean, I don't know if these are like.
I did make it clear it
I
wasn't
don't know if it was
PPR.
like I don't know if these are like new Dynasty players that are doing this or like what the deal is. But
Probably new to the format. It would be my guess.
Probably. Yeah. Because there are a lot of experienced players in this, so I don't know if it's just like a few newbies. I know there's at least one newbie, but yeah.
So, anyways, we'll see it interesting, but like that was even more incentive to like take a Hunter Henry because they'll find out quickly, like that if Hunter Henry's doing anything like he was last year, anything. Yeah. That like they'll need a Hunter Henry or something, and honestly, we don't even really plan on like flipping a guy like that. We just think he's like.
Oh yeah, I'm just like hoarding these tight ends. Like I'm not going to be like giving them away to the teams that realize all of a sudden they need one.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a potential like to really capitalize from it, but that's not the goal when you're taking them.
Well, right, unless they just throw something at me I can't turn down. But in that case, then that's a huge win.
Exactly,
so it's a win-win. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Win-win. Perfect for flexor bye weeks. Anyway, so I really like that, but. Yeah.
All right. So we got a little time left. Is there anything else you want to cover? Let me look at my notes here. So yeah, we covered Kupp, Ingram, Fields, Darnold, Najee. Real quick. Did you want to talk about Rico Dowdle and Javonte Williams? Because I think some people are making too much of the Javonte Williams things, but. Signing with the Cowboys, but or maybe they're off of it now because now they also signed Miles Sanders, so maybe now
same amount of money.
Realize okay, it really doesn't matter because not what Javonte signed for $3 million. I mean that's chump change. Miles Sanders probably signed same kind of contract. I don't think the details are out of it yet, and we know they're going to draft a running back, so it's neither of those guys are that exciting.
That's literally all I gotta say. I don't care about Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I mean Javonte is probably an RB3 on an NFL team, maybe an RB2 if he's lucky. So it's I
just don't think he's good.
Yeah,
he might have been. He was good at one point. He's not good anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, Miles Sanders, you could talk me into a little bit more. I still think he's decent at football. He did have that spike week when he finally got healthy at the end of last season. So I do kind of think he could play. I was considering him in this 20th round of the startup. I certainly don't think that's crazy. Ultimately, I think I'd rather take the early 4th, which is what I did. But yeah, you're not getting too excited about these guys, though. I mean, it's going to be a rookie.
Dowdle, though, the thing is, it's a little unfortunate for Dowdle. I mean, if he could have signed on, I guess, maybe the Broncos. I'm just thinking of teams without a running back one where he could have maybe survived the draft. He's definitely going to be behind Chuba. I mean, I'd be shocked if he wasn't. Just, they extended him, all that stuff. He's not getting paid very much. But the one good thing is, I think Dowdle's actually half decent. He had a lot of explosive runs. Yeah. I think he's a good handcuff. I think it's really good for Chuba. I think it's really good for Dowdle. I like both of them.
You think there's any chance that Dowdle earns a 40% of the touches in the backfield, kind of semi-committee there, or do you think it's just pretty much a pure handcuff that's going to get 5 touches a game while Chuba's healthy?
Anything's possible. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Chuba was really good. It just depends really on what the hell Chuba's doing. It's probably more dependent on Chuba,
Yeah.
I would say, than Dowdle. Like I think we know
Yeah. So if Chuba's crushing it, Donald's probably getting
he's
like
yeah.
maybe like 5 to 7 touches a
Yeah.
game.
It would be like maybe if he's like getting banged up, like then
Yeah.
they give him a bigger work. It's just something like that. I don't know. I think it's in the possibility,
Yeah.
which is why I
Maybe he
like
can have like a
Dowdle.
random spike week, if he gets
Yeah.
hot or whatever. Like
Yeah.
maybe he's kind of like a best, interesting like best ball running back, Dottle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm leaning more toward a handcuff. But I agree with you. I do think he's pretty good. And if Chuba got hurt, I think you'd be pretty excited about having Dottle.
No, 100%. That's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. I think that covers about everything. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap this up here?
no, I don't know. The only other thing I would say was like we got to do a stream. Maybe we could like take notes on some rookies. We'd have to do very specific ones because there's like if we do it through receivers, like there's like a million of them. You know what I mean? Like we don't need to go through all those. But I went through like 3 tight ends. I was telling you before stream, and like maybe I'll just very quickly share my findings because I when you're on Twitter. And actually, I never really replied to what you had said before stream about everyone pretending every single player is like going to be a hit, and
Right.
that's like how I was like looking at these prospects. Is like
Right.
in order for a Gunnar Helm or a Mason Taylor to succeed in the NFL, like they need to like show that they have like some kind of ability like at the next level, like something to set them apart.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to be like Luke Schoonmaker or whatever his name is, like. That's probably what they are or whatever. But anyways, yeah, Helm, like, I was not impressed. You basically showed zero NFL talent ability. Was good after the catch was like his one thing and had to get decent hands. Mason Taylor, I suggest you look into him, but like not like I just to see what you think, Dan.
Yeah.
There are a couple good things. I thought he was pretty fluid, productive, but man, like. There were the same thing with him. These touches are, I call them Mickey Mouse catches.
Okay. Right.
Zero vertical threat.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like 3 or 4 catches down like past like 15 yards or so.
Yeah.
And then you go look at like the actual real tight ends in the class. They're working everywhere, and they're still being, criticized for their route tree. I mean, like Mason Taylor, like his route tree is literally like.
Yeah.
Turn left or turn right, 5 yards downfield. So I wasn't too impressed.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, Gunnar Helm doesn't have that much hype, but Mason Taylor seems to have a lot lately. So it's kind of weird that he has that much hype after hearing your comments. So I'll definitely be interested to see what I think when I've watched him a bit more. But I'll probably agree with you. I just kind of have a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. With tight ends, I feel like it's not too hard the science behind them. You want them good after the catch, hopefully athletic, and like I don't know. There's just like a dog perspective. Like I don't like Mason Taylor was the opposite of like the dog. Like you look at Harold Fannin, like that that dude has it. You know what I mean? Who was my other one? And I really didn't have any cons with him. I said if anything, it's like he's getting open with like physicality rather than like technique. And like he didn't test great. Like that's really all I could knock him for on like my perspectives.
I mean, I am a pretty big believer in the RAS score for tight end because historically there's a lot of correlation with like just about every like great fantasy tight end has a high RAS score. Scott Connor had figured out what the cutoff was, and I want to say it was like it was somewhere like in the 8 range. I want to say it was like 8.2 or something like that if I remember correctly. So Fanning scored a 7.8. So I was disappointed.
It's close.
It's close. So I liked what I was hearing about Fanning, so I was disappointed to see that. But I don't think it kills him, but it takes him down a notch. So he saw some intriguing upside. So we'll see.
Have you watched Fanning?
There are exceptions. I mean, like Isaiah Likely had like a
4,
like brutal like RAS score. I think it was like 4 or something.
4. Have you watched Fannin, by the way? Because I hadn't watched him before doing this. I hadn't watched any of his tight ends.
Clips. I haven't seen a lot.
If you go watch Fannin, like I can assure you, you will not get him with a RAS score. Like you will throw down any RAS score when you watch him.
Right.
And he does it against big schools too, because he's not like in a big conference. But he played Penn State, like A&M and stuff like that, and he produced against them. So you get to see him against some big schools as well. He was very, very impressive. I'm not saying I'm like guaranteed I'm going to try and draft him in every league, especially depending on landing spot. But I was like, if you haven't watched Fannin, you got to go watch him.
All right. I will definitely watch him. And yeah, we'll definitely be talking about a lot of these rookies soon. There's a lot of excitement about the tight end class, about the running back class. And I think it's kind of seems like an underrated draft class in general, because I don't think people are focused too much on the lack of high-end quarterbacks.
There's no Neighbors.
Yeah, exactly.
Daniels,
if you look at like the totality of like all the positions and like how deep it is at like running back and tight end, I think it's like better than people realize. So we'll definitely be talking a lot about these rookies soon. Definitely excited for that. And but yeah, this was fun breaking down free agency, these trades. I mean, like, we're really getting into Dynasty season now, so like this is so much fun. I'm glad we could talk about it. Do another Friday night stream here. Third week in a row, we're doing a stream. So
Friday's the new night, I guess.
Dynasty Savvy is back, so I hope you guys are enjoying it. Definitely like it if you did enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so you'll get notified as soon as we go live, and you can tune in.
Yeah.
And let's make sure we don't have like anyone in the chat here, because I don't know if anyone had any comments or anything. I'm not seeing anything. So yeah, I think we're good to wrap this one up.
Gotcha.
This one up. So
I was just gonna mention, stay tuned. Like, we should do streams for like rookie positions, and just like once we're looking into rookies more, given some pre-draft stuff, and then kind of see where I just think that would be a good off season.
We could do a stream like for like each position and just like focus on that and dive into it. I think that would be awesome. So stay tuned for that.